Yeah, let me give one URL. Yeah, regarding Lambda architecture, the Lambda architecture combination of batch processing plus real-time processing rate. Real-time processing. In Lambda architecture, especially batch processing and real-time data processing will use two different tools, right? So batch processing will use separate tools, real-time data processing will use separate tools. So coming to the batch processing, right, we'll use Azure Data Factory, right? Databricks also we can use in batch processing, and you can write the data to database or SQL DW or data lake storage, right? So where in the real-time data processing, we'll use stream analytics. Use the stream analytics, or maybe you can use Kafka streaming. Maybe we can use structured streaming. Structured streaming, maybe. Right, with the help of the from IoT devices or event hubs. Right. These are sources. Okay, these are your sources. Right, either from IoT devices or event hubs. Right, from these devices and from these sources, with the help of the stream analytics jobs, we can read the data from IoT devices or event hubs or any blob storage also, even blob services also. Blob storage or blob services, right, from these sources, right, if you want to do the real-time data processing. So the batch processing already we discussed, right? So there is a lag, right? Definitely you will see that lag post completion of your OLTP data processing, right? Then only you can do the data ingestion to your data warehousing system or your cloud system or your target system or your OLAP system. But definitely you will see there's some lag, right? Immediate data, you will not do that any analytics. Right? At least you will wait, one day time or 12 hours or 18 hours. I'm talking about end-to-end processing. But you want to do the some analytics, right? Some data has been created or posted at your source side. Immediately, I want to do that analytics. Immediately, I want to do that analytics, right? Maybe I want to perform some basic transformations, right? Maybe that lag with the maximum 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. If it is near real-time data processing, maybe 15 minutes. If it is 100% real-time data processing, maybe the lag 2 minutes or 1 minute or maximum 5 minutes. Right? Immediately, the data should be involved into that analytics. Right? Someone has created the documents are posted at my ERP system. Right? We should extract the data. On top of it, we should perform the basic transformation, or maybe we should showcase to the end users from their Power BI or maybe from the database. On top of it, they can do their self-reporting system or maybe self-visualizations. Right, but especially to process your data, also you need some sources, right? Real-time data processing. The sources are your Internet of Things, IoT, nothing but Internet of Things, or it could be your Event Hub or your blob services or blob services. So with the help of these technologies, right? With the help of these technologies, you can extract the data from your sensors, machines, any systems also, right? Any systems also. I mean, you can read the data. You can read the data with the help of these services. Means these services temporarily hold your data from your main systems or maybe your sensors. From these systems, right, with the help of the stream analytics, we can take the data, right, we can dump the data into the Azure, right. Because Kafka streaming is not your Azure, structured streaming also not your Azure, right? Only the stream analytics is your Azure product. If you're talking about Azure Lambda architecture, at Azure Lambda architecture, then we should use only Azure products, right? Right. I think there are a couple of architectures also, right? Even cup architecture also is there. Cup architecture is a combination of batch processing, real-time processing, but it will use the same tool. The same technology will use for batch plus real-time. The best technology is the Databricks, right? With the help of the Databricks, you can do batch processing or real-time data processing. But coming to the ADF, but not 100 percentage, we can do the real-time data processing, maybe partial, right? Maybe partial means maybe we can do the near real-time data processing, right? Near real-time data processing also we can do with the help of that ADF. But still, you need sources, right? For example, IoT devices. Correct. At this stage, we don't have any connectors to read the data. Even event hubs. I'm talking about direct event hubs. We don't have that any um connectors to read the data from IoT or event. But yes, Blob is having that availability, especially in the ADF to read the data, maybe from the databases also. For example, if you're talking about near real-time data processing from SAP side, what are the data is posting at ERP? Immediately, I want to turn the record into that HANA. With help of that SAP side real-time replication tools, we can do that processing. That once the data is available in your HANA, right? HANA from that ADF it is possible. Right, ADF it is possible, but continuation it's very hard. Right, continuation is very hard. Maybe you can think about 10 minutes or 15 minutes. That is called near real-time data processing, not 100 percentage. Right, right. The Lambda architecture, I'm talking about Azure. Each and every technology is having the Lambda architecture. Each and every technology, even big data, Hadoop also is having the Lambda architecture. But then we should think about Azure services or Azure technologies to implement your Lambda architecture or maybe your Kappa architecture. At AWS point of view also, yes, we can think about Lambda architecture, AWS point of view. At that time, we should think about only AWS services, right? Azure Lambda architecture, we should think about which technology will help out for batch processing from Azure side, real-time data processing from Azure side. The technology name is called Stream Analytics. The technology name is called Stream Analytics. With the help of the Stream Analytics, we can implement the real-time data processing from only these three sources. From only these three sources. Here any sources should have the connectivity to these two systems or maybe blob services also. Blob services. For example, maybe SAP side, if any posting happened, right, immediately if they upload the data into the blob services, right, with help of the blob services, we can implement the real-time data processing from the stream analytics. From the stream analytics. Let me create for stream analytics service. Let me create. It will create one for blob. Right. So you have the two types of environment, cloud and edge. So the cloud means you can deploy your solution into the your cloud environment. Edge means in your on-premise systems. Determine the hosting environment where the job will be deployed. Select a cloud for deploying the job to the Azure. Edge means on your on-premise systems, IoT gateway. Right. So if we are working on into the cloud, we should select that only cloud. The stream units, if you want to do that, your jobs parallel, right? If you're increasing your units, definitely you'll see the good performance. For example, you have implemented your stream analytics jobs, but you're not able to deliver your output maybe within 5 minutes or within 10 minutes. Just as maybe maximum 5 minutes, 10 minutes is too much lag only, 2 minutes or 3 minutes. But you are unable to deliver that SLA, right? Then you should think about to improve your stream analytics. If you're increasing the stream rate, you will not see the um, you will not see the lag. especially your data processing. You will not see that more lag, right? If you want to minimize your log, right, lag information or 1 minute or 2 minutes, then we should think about to improvise the your streaming units. But with help of the streaming units, we can improvise your performance. We can improvise your performance. Let me create storage account. Continue. Let me go to the stream analytics jobs. This is a stream analytics designer window. Designer window. It is equivalent to your ETL tool or ELT tool or real-time data processing tool or data ingestion tool. If you're talking about any ETL or any ELT, any data ingestion, so we need source and target, right? Source and target. In between, we'll talk about transformations, right? In between, we'll talk about some transformations, right? In between, we'll talk about some transformations. Means you will read the data from your sources. The source could be IoT device or even her blob services. If you want, you can do the transformation, right? You can write the data to your target system. Your target could be your Azure services. It could be ADL Gen 1, Gen 2, blob storage, database, even Power BI also. We can write the data, right? From direct source, we can dump the data into the Power BI also possible. In between, you can, if you want, you can perform the transformation with the help of Stream Analytics query language. Stream Analytics query language, right? Azure Stream Analytics query language also. we can perform the transformations. Here also you can execute that your SQL, but stream analytics query language you will use. Stream analytics query language you will use to perform the transformations. The transformations are not mandatory, depends on your requirement. But if you're applying the complex transformations, that you should think about your SLA, whether you're able to deliver your SLA within 1 minute or 2 minutes, not within 1 minute. For example, what are the data is extracted from the source, immediately it should be available to the target. On top of it, if you are applying the basic transformation, if you are using the Azure Stream Analytics, is it possible to is it possible to implement, I mean, is it possible to deliver your SLA within the time or not? Also, we should think about it. If you're applying the complex transformation, if your client is agreed, okay, we'll deliver that SLA within 5 minutes, right? Within 5 minutes, you can finish your stream multics queries, right? Yes, we can go and use it. If it is not possible to implement the, especially the complex queries, then you should think about from the target side. Is it right? Is there any way to implement the transformations, or only just to read and dump the data into the target? If read and dump the data into the target, then will exclude the transformations. The transformations on depends on your requirement. But here also we'll use Azure Stream Multics query language to implement the transformation. The query language is similar to your SQL only, similar to your SQL. Right. Now, see, to start your job, you need add input. Right. If you want to perform any ETL, so basically we need input and output. Right. We need input and output. We need input and output. See, here you're able to see input and output information. Right? There is input, there is output. See, there is a query. Right? Select star into your target from source. It is equivalent to your Azure SQL DB syntax. Right? Even Azure SQL DB also, if you want to create any temporary table, right? For example, the syntax is in Oracle, right? Create table. So this is Oracle, right? New table, right? As select star from, right, EMP, for example, EMP. So what it will do, it will create the new table from EMP, right? From that EMP, it will create the new table with the data as well as structure, right? As well as structure. But coming into the SQL Server, right? Select star or your column name list into new table, right? Into new table from old table, right? EMP. So this is your SQL Server syntax that if you want to create the tables in the runtime, right? In the runtime, right? Into this is your new table, right? If I want to create the new table, the column names and the data should extracted from the EMP. So this SQL Server syntax, this is your Oracle syntax. Let's see, the syntax is similar to your Azure SQL because it is Azure product only, right? Right, this is Azure product. In the star, right, from that input, you can select your columns. You can apply that your column level logic, even you can include your where class, you can, right, even you can perform the joins also, right? You can perform the joins, right? So let me connect with my input. Let me connect with my input. Let's see. There is Azure Stream input, Azure reference input. Right, Azure Stream input, Azure reference input means while reading the data from that my input. So do you want to look up the data on your in reference? That else you can include. Right? Basically, you want to perform the main sources and inner join with your reference data. Also, reference always it is a one-time data or maybe static data, right? Then, if you want to, you can perform the join between your main and lookup data also possible. We'll see, right? How many types of sources are available for Registry Multis, Event Hub, IoT, and Blob storage or ADL engine, right? Only from the three sources we can create your input from three sources. This entry question, for example, if you're mentioning in your resume, you had worked on Azure Multics, right? They will ask you the question, right? So what are the sources are available for your Azure Multics? Event Hub, IoT, and your Blob storage or ADL Gen 2, either Blob or ADLS. Let me select that Blob storage. Right, it is asked, you should provide some your input name, right? You should provide your input name. Let me upload the data. the stream analytics blob input. Where is the path? We don't have any path, right? But if you have the path, you can mention, but we don't have any path. Your data is in comma separator, right? Comma separator. Let me see. Blob. Add blob storage. Just you should provide your input details, blob storage, access to container. Container, please make sure it's not creating. AC, 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 blob. Yes, you do. As account already provide that access. Access to container was please make sure the service principal has access to the storage account or the specific container. Although provide access, right? It's not. Yes, it is account. Yes, it is account. Correct. And we provide the access. Successful. We were created your input. I think the managed identity is not working. Have taken the connection string. Means default your stream already we will provide the full access to stream analytics and blob container. Right? From the blob container, we have provided access to your stream analytics. Now you have added your input. All right. There are three types of inputs: blob, event hub, and IoT. So these are your two sources. In case we want to take that any reference data, right? Reference data, either you can take the SQL database or blob storage or ADL agent. Means from the same input data, if you want, you can do the joins with your reference data. So depends on your requirement. For example, you have taken the data from IoT devices. Maybe you don't want to read all the records, right? Only you want to do some cross check into the blob file or Gentoo file or Azure SQL DB. At that time, you can take the reference data in that Azure Stream Multi with help of the Azure Stream Multi queries window. We can do the joins between these two sources. Right now, you have created your source. Right, you have created your source. Let me go to the target location. Now, your target, right? So these are your target locations. Even you can write the data to again event hub, SQL database, blob storage, Gentoo table storage, service bus, Cosmos DB, Power BI also. Directly we can write the data into the Power BI also possible. Even the Gen 1, Azure function, SQL database. So these are the different types of targets components are available. Targets components are available. Let me take the Gen 1. Right, managed identity, right? Managed identity. What happened? We created here only, right? Created a storage generation one. Let me add that access to audio stream analytics. AIC, yes. But here I want to write the data. Okay. What is the folder structure? We can use data. Right, output if you want, you can use JSON format or CSV format. No data lake. No data lake storage in account found. To your creator rate. From free trial, why it's not able to. What's that account name? ACADLS. ACC 00. We have added input and output, right? Just check. Now you have that input and output. Input and output. Let me do that edit query. Right. What is your input? What is your input? Input blob AC. This is your input. What is your output? Blob ADLS. Right. If you want, you can do the test query. But see, these two records are available in here. target locations. So these are your ID name, salary is your business columns. That event processed, partition ID, blob name, blob last modified. These are your audit columns. While writing the data into the target system, the stream multics will add these four columns into your target location. Your target location, right? Let me. This is your input. This is your input, right? So this is your output. Let me start the job. Let me start because this job is it will keep on continuously to execute. This job is not like your Azure Data Factory trigger timings, right? Because the real-time data processing means it will keep on executed. It will keep on execute your jobs. Like it is equivalent to your event hubs. Like it is equivalent to your event hubs. Once you, it will keep on execute, right? It will keep on execute based on your input. It will keep on check that input is available or not. Right? If you are deploying any input file into your blob storage, right, immediately that output will be available into your target location. Yeah, in similar job is running. We'll go and check the data into the target location. Then we'll upload the data from the source. We don't have any data, right? We don't have any data. Let me go and upload. See, this is your target, right? This is your target data. This is your JSON format, right? ID, name, salary. So these are your columns. These are columns available in your target location. So this is my source. This is my source. This is my target location. This is my data lake, right? This is my data lake, right? So this is my source. Let me upload one more file. Upload. You know, the third file uploaded into the blob storage. But let me refresh. Yeah. See, earlier it was only two records. Right now, you're able to see that four records. You're able to see that four records. Let me upload 750 timestamp 750. Let me upload the same file. I think four records. Let me change the file address. 750. Right, you're able to see two more records. Right, like it is equivalent to your event hub, but this job continuously it will execute. Whatever that input is adding into your source locations, right? Immediately the data will be available into your target location. Immediately it will be available into your target location. If you want, you can do the proper partitioning also. If you want, you can do the proper partitioning while writing the data into the ADLS. All right. So this is nothing but it is equivalent to your event. I mean, event trigger in Azure Data Factory. Event trigger also the same methodology it will execute that once the blob files are available into that your container, automatically the pipeline will be executed. It will take the data and it will write, depends on your pipeline code, right? If it is copy activity, it will take the data and it will write the data into your target location. In the stream analytics also the same event trigger concept is available. That means we can take the data from your blobs or ADLS gent. Once you have uploaded, right, once your container is having the new objects, automatically the data will be available into the target location. Clear, right? I mean, in case this is also one of the method. I mean, in case if you want to do that any real-time data replications, right? Maybe your source Oracle, right? Maybe Oracle Golden Gate, right? You're using that Oracle Golden Gate to implement the your maybe your Kafka streaming or real-time data processing. Then you should inform to the your Oracle Golden Gate team, right? So whatever the data is available on the ERP, if they want to immediately turn into the stream analytics, right? They should connect with the blob storage. It means that Oracle Golden Gate team, they should deploy the data into the blob storage, all right? With the help of the Kafka streaming or maybe Oracle Golden Gate tools also, they can do the special real-time data processing. Right now, coming to the Azure Stream Analytics, you don't have any connectors, right, to your Kafka streaming or Oracle Golden Gate. Already they were deployed the files into the blob storage, right? Here you can take that your blob as a source, then you can connect with your Power BI, ADLS, Azure SQL DB or DW. In this way also, we can implement the real-time data processing from Oracle, or maybe you can do the real-time data processing from SAP. But the SAP side, they should deploy the data into the blob files. They should deploy the data into the blob files. Immediately you can take out this output into database or DW or Power BI, right? Power BI or ADLS Gen 1. Even event service bus topics also, we can write the data as a target system. Clear, right? It is simple, it is equivalent to your event hub. Right? It is equivalent to your event trigger in ADF. Right, this is the one of the source systems. Then we'll talk about event hubs. Then we'll talk about event hubs. But yes, from the stream analytics, I want to read the data from that event hubs. I want to write the data into the target locations. But how can I create my event hubs first of all? How can I create same? It is equivalent to your logic component. Each and every job you should create one Azure Stream Analytics jobs. Not like your ADF only one time you can open that ADF and you can create a number of pipelines, right? But here the same logic upon for each job you should create one Azure Stream Analytics. Azure Stream Analytics. Next, I want to read the data from my event hubs. I want to read the data from that event hubs. Before writing the data from that event hubs, we'll create one .exe file. That .exe file will generate the data, right? Will generate the data. The .exe in your local machine. If you're executing the .exe application, it will keep on generating the data. That the data I want to capture into the event hubs. From event hubs, right? I want to write the data into the Azure Data Lake Storage with the help of the Stream Analytics. Right? I shared you this link. Just open this link and download that software. Download the exe file. Right? Microsoft they had provided one tool. Right? Just download this. telco generated zip file. Alright, this is your exe file. There is an application, right? So this is your exe file. If you're executing this application, automatically, right, the data will be generated. Right, you can use this command to execute. From your command prompt, you can execute. It will generate the data. What the application name? Telco data generation. .exe. 1,000 records every 2 seconds. I want to generate. Okay, let me change the key details. Where is the configuration file? I change the configuration details. Let me create one event hub. From this event hub, let me change the configuration details. But here enter your event hub name. Your key information is not available. That's why it's not generating the data. Let me generate that event hub details. But here it is asking that event hub name or at the key details. That's why it's not generating the data. We'll provide the details. We'll provide the details. Then we'll execute our command prompt code. Let me create an event hub. Let me create the resource group. Now this event hubs, it will hold the data from your application. Whatever your application is generating the data as .exe, it will hold the data into this event hubs. From this event hubs, we will take the data with the help of the stream analytics and you can write the data into your target locations. Telco generator event hub namespace. taking the list configuration. If you want, you can increase your throughput also. Just I'm providing the name and the pricing tag. Then the throughput also you can increase. In case if you want to take the data from your application very quickly, you should increase your throughput. If you're increasing throughput, the price also it will increase. Just we're creating into the one namespace. From that namespace will generate the key, or it will generate the key, because your event hubs and your application should have that access, right? Your application should have that access. Right now, because your event hubs is available into Azure, right, in the cloud, your application is available into that on-premise, right? But how you will maintain the relationship or communication between your application and event hubs? So the concept what the application is generating, right, that your application should hold the data into that your event hubs, right? So somewhere we should provide that access between your event hubs and your application, right, your .exe application. Enter your event hub name plus key details. Now it's created. Right. Now you have created your event hub namespace. Event hub namespace. From that event hub namespace, you should add your event hub name. What your event hub name? Telco event hub. Yes. Let me go and create your event hub. Now this is your event hub name. But how can I provide that access between this event hub and your application? That is called your shared access policies. Shared access policies. You should add one policy. Mm, right. Right. Let me give that AIS telco. Like it is equivalent to your SaaS token. That just open your access. Right. Open your access. Right. So you have the primary key, secondary key, your connection string. Right. Then you should use this information here. primary information you should use. You should provide these details into your application, in your application connection string. Right. Your endpoint, your shared access name, your shared access key. You should provide the details into your application side. Already right. Let me use this connection string. The connection control control view. What is our event hub name? Telco EHEAC. Telco EHEAC. Telco EHEAC. Telco EHEAC. See, now you're able to see the data, right? Right. Each and right. Whenever you're executing this application, right? Whenever you're executing application, you're able to see the data, right? UK, Australia, Germany, right? Control C. Now, what is your requirement? Because your application will keep on executing continuously, right? It will keep on executing continuously. Every 2 seconds, it will generate the data. Right? Every 2 seconds, it will generate the data. Your responsibility, you should capture this output into your data lake. Let's see the number of call data records per hour. Right? Percentage of fraud probability, which is how often that means the percentage, 20 percentage, right? Duration in hours, right? Which is the number of hours that application should run. You can also stop control C. Right. So this is your number of records per hour. This much of records I want to generate per hour, right? So this is your percentage, right? Percentage, right? 20 percentage of the, especially a fraud information, right? 2 hours, right? Continuously, this application should execute 2 hours. In between, if you want, you can stop with the help of the control C. So this is application level setting. Application. So what is our responsibility? Our responsibility, we should execute this application. I mean, this application will be executed from your on-premise systems, right? Your on-premise systems generating the data. But how can I take this data, right? Now this data is generating, but how can I take this data from your system? Somewhere this data should be dumped, right? Somewhere this data should be saved into one location. The location name is here, the event hubs. That location is called event hubs. Now your application is executing that backend into your on-premise systems, right? This data will be available into the event hubs. From that event hubs, we can take the data and we can write the data into your target location. So this is your application configuration, right? This is not our responsibility. So this is your application team will take in care, right? Because already just assume this application is in place, right? We want to take the data, right? We want to take the data because this application, it will keep on execute, right? It will keep on execute, right? It will keep on execute from that output, right? From this output, I want to dump into my Azure storage. Either it could be database or Power BI or DW or ADLS. But how can you take this output data, right? Your application generating the data, right? Your application generating the data, but how can you take this output? Yes, here the Event Hubs will help out. Right, let me go to my Stream Analytics. Let me go to my Stream Analytics job. Let me go and create the Stream Analytics job. Let me create another Stream Analytics job. AIC, Telco, Data Generator, Azure Stream Analytics. Take your input, add stream input. Your stream, Event Hub, right? Go to Event Hub, right? Telco data input. This is your information. You can take here and JSON data also. But now just you have created your Event Hub input name. Right in the drop down list, you can select your Event Hub namespace and your Event Hub names. You can use the connection string. Right. Then go and see. In the step one, that Event Hub namespace service should be created into that your portal. So once it is created, right? Once it is created, once that event name hub space is configured with your input, right? Input, then we can create that Azure Stream Analytics. Now input has been created. Right? What's the next one? The next one we should create that output. We'll provide that access. What's your Stream Analytics job name? AIC Telco or AIC Telco. analytics. You telco account name and path prefix. If you want, you can do the JSON format or CSV format. The resource now supports manager database authentication. It is enabled. Access. AIC. Teleco generated AIC. No, where is the target? Yeah, you have input and output. Let me do the test. What is the input? Telco data input. You see, this data has been generated. Right, this data has been generated. Now you're able to see do the test runs, right? Now if it is you're able to see the data means you have properly, I mean, provided your input information and that output information. Right? Let me execute my job. Let me do the scheduling. and they had given in detailed how to configure your application, how to execute your application. So they had given in detail with Microsoft. Just to go through this document, even because we don't have any Power BI, but if you have the Power BI access in from the portal, also you can do. Even you can copy paste these queries if you want to check your queries right. This will you can do these things also. Same your SQL queries only. So these are also your SQL queries if you want to do the jobs. So in this example they had given source to Power BI, but now we are not connecting with Power BI, we are connecting with the data lake target system. Now it's running, your job it's running. Let me go and check the data into the target location. Telecom output. No items, right? We don't have that any items. Let me go and execute this application. Controls. This is your data lake folder, right? Now you're able to see the two files, right? JSON files. Okay. This is your data. This is your JSON data, right? This is your JSON data. This is your second file data. If your application is running right continuously, it will keep on generating the data into your target locations. Yeah. Target locations. Clear, right? Only here the challenging is the connectivity only challenging. But from the data engineering point of view, I mean there is no challenging. Only the challenge is application side because we will not configure right these changes at source side, right? So this is application team responsibility, right? They should configure your event hub details into their applications. But your responsibility once that event hub namespace created, right? As a ETL developer, right? I need source and a target, right? Once everything is configured, just you need to take that input and output. Then you can create your other semantic jobs. It will keep on continuously execute as per your settings at source side. Any doubts? Just go through this document. They had given in detailed, but not Power BI. I mean, we are not connecting to the Power BI. Just you can take your database. If you, for example, if you're taking the database, right, then you should create your DDL definition. Right? You should create your DDL definition. SQL DW also, you should create the table definition. You can take either blob storage, Gen1 or Gen2. Then you can write that output. All right. From this output, right, take the CSV. From this output, you can perform your transformation with the help of the Databricks also. Right, maybe your requirement, right? Maybe your requirement is just you want to dump the data into that your landing. Your data scientist, they will take the data and they will do the analytics. But here, your responsibility, you should only dump the data. On top of it, they will, I mean, do that analytics from their end. But in case if you want to send this data to your end users with a calculator, right? With the help of the Databricks, you can perform your transformations and you can write the data to your target location also. You can perform. You do that is also one more exercise. Take the data into that landing, then on top of it you can use the data bricks. With the help of the data bricks you can perform your transformation like AC type 1, type 2, anything you can do, or any KPI calculations you can do it from your data bricks side. Any doubts, Suresh?
We will go through this once and let you know, sir.
Okay, sure, sure. So they had to explain in detail. Just only you need to download the zip file, right? You need to configure um, the JSON file, that configuration file. Already you should provide your event hub details and the the primary the primary string details. So that is only one challenge. Once your application is having connectivity to your event hub, right? There from the stream analytics we can take the data and we can dump the data into the target location. The stream analytics is very easy, but only the challenging application connectivity is very challenging. Right? Once your application team right, provide the proper details to your event hubs, right? Then there is no challenging. Right? Happily we can take that. I mean, that is input, that is output. Now we have done only kind of EL, right? Extracting and loading. The transformations we can do with the help of the data bricks, or even in case if the target is Azure SQL DB, you can execute with the help of your stored procedures. Right? You don't want to do anything, just you want to send the data to your Power BI reports, right? Right, maybe that is the calculated data from your application side. This is they want to see that output into the Power BI. Then you can connect with your Power BI data, or you can build your model from the Power BI side. But you should think about whether will you able to deliver your output within SLA, right? If you're not able to deliver within that SLA, then you should think about transformations. You should think about your Power BI model, right? Only I want to landed the data into that my raw folder or landing folder or my data lake storage. Only this project will help out for data scientist. On top of it I can do the calculations, but there is no proper there is no specific SLA. My SLA to only the landing folder, but on top of it I can perform that my transformation, the complex transformations. Maybe I can deliver the reports every 1 hour, right? Then you can take the data, or you can take the data from your specific timestamp folder. You can apply the transformation with the help of the data bricks, write the data to database or DW. On top of it, you can build your AS Power BI. Every 1 hour also you can do that end-to-end refresh. Plus every, I mean, minute you can provide the data to your data scientist. Right? Two kind of projects. Right? One project is hourly refresh, right? Once the data is landed into the your data lake folder, one more project each and every second minute you're dumping the data to your ADLS. On top of it, your data scientist will consume the data. Right, that is also possible. Clear, right?
Yes, sir.
If you want, you can execute one more time also. See, another two more folders. See, size is increasing, right? Yeah, you have the two files. So just go through this document, go through this document, just implement at least once this adjusted analytics. Then get at least some idea how this adjusted analytics is working in the backend. It's the only the challenging is the connectivity, only the challenging. Either event hubs or event hubs or IoT both are same only, right? Two both are two different tools, right? Both are two different services. IoT also same thing. We should configure your IoT device, right? From your source, I mean, from your application side, that IoT device should be configured, right? Once the data, I mean, once your source application is configured with IoT, then you can take that IoT device as a source. The same steps, right? I mean, other stream analytics side, there is no challenging, only the challenging at source side. Your source application should connect with your event hubs or IoT devices, right? Once its connection success, right, then not a big deal, right? It's very easy step from the stream analytics. Take a input and connect with your output, right? In between, if you want, you can perform the transformation, but that is still optional, right? If you want, you can perform these calculations also. In your query, you can perform these calculations, right? Only you can change your input and your output. So here, there you do some kind of self-join, right? That do perform the self-join. The same input, the same input. They're creating some alias CS1, CS2. They're performing the some kind of joins. They're connecting with the Power BI. From the Power BI, they want to see this information. That your responsibility, yes, you can write the data into your Azure SQL DB. On top of it, you can build AS, you can build the Power BI report system. Okay, please go through this document and generate the data and take this data into CSV or JSON. Right. On top of it, you can apply the your transformations. On top of it, you can apply the your transformations. From the Databricks also, we can read the data from your data lake, right? Right. From your data lake also, you can read. Right. You can create the mount pointer. You can use spark.read.json or spark.read.csv. If it is CSV file, spark.read.csv. If it is JSON, spark.read.json. Right? Read the data, let perform the transformations, let perform the transformations, and write the data to your Azure SQL DB or your data lake again. Yeah, in case if you don't have any doubts. Even from free portal also now they enabled to create the cluster at a Databricks side. Correct. But you should take that only I think standard, not premium one. Right. You should take that only the pricing tier standard. Only pricing tier standard. Now they enabled how to create their clusters. But the same, the cluster also, single node cluster that is equivalent to your community only. That is same configuration like one driver, zero worker, one driver, zero worker. But this is a standard, right? Not easy pricing, not easy premium. From the standard, right? From the standard, you can create your cluster into the Azure Database also. Now from Data Factory, you can execute your Databricks, Azure Databricks now. So to go to your cluster, see single node, same but zero workers, one driver. It is equivalent to same year community database configuration, right? Recently they were enabled with the single node concept.
This is not chargeable, or this is also chargeable, sir?
This is your free account, right? The same 14,000 amount is there at 1 month.
Okay, sir.
AC cluster. This is not community one. This is your Azure Databricks.
Then we can directly practice here also, right, bro? If cluster is created.
Yeah, you can the same data equivalent to community only, but only that advantage you can execute from the data factory. Only if you
Single
want
node
it.
single node cluster also we can execute from data factory.
Yeah, and we can. That's why it's a Microsoft Azure Databricks, right?
Uh,
Otherwise, what do they use?
yes, yes. So now that we can give the parameters from ADF and we can try,
Yeah.
right? One.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
everything you can do. Data factory.
When it is enabled, bro, like last.
Maybe very recently. What the workspace name? AIC Dev DB001. Got the cluster name. AIC cluster. AIC. Yet, yeah, this is your run page URL. With the help of the run page URL, you can see that your output. Let's see. This is your printable. This is yet. Now you're executing your data. Azure Database notebook from Data Factory. But in the real time also, right? If you want to see that your notebook output, right? Open your run page URL. From the run page URL, you can see the your log information. It will change one code dbutils data dbutils data notebook data exit exit will return some success. Just I want to return one message to my data factory. All right. Now see the your output. Your output you're able to see run page URL, execution duration, right? Run page URL, execution duration, the duration curate. But here I want to see my output value also. But succeed. See, run output success rate. So this is an trick question. I want to return that output from Databricks to Data Factory. How you will do? All right. dbutils dot notebook dot exit. It will return your output, but only one parameter only. If you want to send multiple values, then you can concatenate multiple values with a single value. Right. Now you're able to do the success information, right? Success information. Let me open this run page URL. This is your success information. This is your the success information. The notebook exited with the success information. If you want to return some values, right, you can use dbutils dot notebook dot exit. Clear, right? You can do anything. You can, you can take the data from that Oracle landing, right? Once it is completed, create one more pipeline landing to your processed or calculated or database, right? With the help of the notebooks also, you can implement, right?
Now
You can,
we can call one notebook from another notebook also, right? Now using this,
I didn't get you.
we can call from one notebook from other notebook also, right?
You
Now
can use, right? dbutils dot
in
notebook dot run option.
in Databricks community we cannot, right? So now it is enabled. We
I
can
think
practice, right?
I think Databricks community. I think percentage run is not working, right? Notebook dot run it will work, right? But let me try. I think community also it will work. Notebook dot run it will work. I think not percentage run. But let me create one more dummy notebook. What is the dummy notebook? Dummy notebook. dbutils dot notebook dot dbutils dot. If you want, you can pass that arguments. In case if you have that any input parameters to your notebook, you can use that comma arguments. Right, you can provide the arguments in the JSON format or dictionary format. Right, let me run. Let me execute this one. Run timeout seconds underscore. Maybe this is Python syntax. Yes, see, notebook job for. Right, you can see the notebook execution from another notebook. It's running right. Notebook execution from another notebook. Right. This is your another notebook one, right? Log. This another notebook execution log. But notebook execution from another notebook. You can execute from the data factory also. Right?
So almost we can get the experience working in real time. So
Sir,
now it's enabled, right? So now we can work in real time, like.
yeah. But same the cluster configuration is limited only.
Ah, this practice purpose.
Yeah, you can do. It's computer right. Written success. See, the other notebook code also you can open here. The notebook job 6, right? Clear, right?
Listen.
Now you can create your notebook executions. I mean, you can create your link service from Azure Databricks. Even you can execute also. Earlier we had created, but we were not executed, right? Because cluster
Yes.
was right. We were not able to create the cluster, right? We were not able to create the cluster. Now we can create the cluster, but only the limited configuration, right? But at least you can do some practice. I mean, at least you can, I mean, execute some real-time scenarios, right? Here the step one, just you can implement these scenarios, right? Because if you have any free time, you can do that. Create one PL underscore master pipeline. This pipeline contains child pipelines PL underscore to or raw, right? So this you can take the data from Oracle to ADLS, right? or landed folder. Right, or landed folder. Go with proper partitions like YYY Let's go and create second pipeline. If you want, you can go and create second pipeline, or you can use the same one also. If you want, you can use the same pipeline and connect with the after copy activity your Databricks. No, I don't want to do this thing. So let me create a separate one. Means create separate one. But here route to your processor, right? ADLS landed or uh, route to ADLS processor. Implement delta. Proper delta you can implement. But here you can create widgets. In this notebook, you can create the widgets. This is your processed notebook, something you can create. ADB notebook. In this notebook, right, take the same thing. Step one, check whether today folder is available or not. If it is available, then only execute your Databricks notebook. Your Databricks notebook, your input details, your target details, your primary keys, everything you can send from data factory. You can create 4 or 5 widgets. That widgets value you can send from your data factory. Now you can execute your code. Now you can execute your code. Right here, the source to landing, right? 10 objects you can execute parallel once 10 completed successfully, right? Once this node pipeline completed successfully, right? This notebook should execute, right? This notebook could should execute. Here also you can take that for each loop. That notebook also, right? That notebook also you can execute 10 times parallelly with different input parameters, right? Because you can take that input parameters from your lookup, right? Lookup connect with your for each, right? Each and every source input path, target path you can send. Clear, right? Then you can add the proper recovery also, right? You can add the proper recovery once it is completed, right? Once it is completed, if possible, right, you can execute your poly-based stored procedure, Azure SQL DW, right? The poly-based what here, this third pipeline, right? Third pipeline, or the third pipeline is poly-based, right? Azure SQL DW. Take the data from this target Parquet file or Delta files or CSV files, right? Then write the data into the Azure SQL DW. Create one external table. That external table will pointing to your Parquet file or Delta file, right? Parquet file or Delta file. Write the data into your external table from that external own one-time activity, right? Create one stored procedures, right? Create one stored procedure. The stored procedure will take the data from all 10 external tables and write the data to main tables, right? Just simply you can just do that only insert into, right? Do that only insert into for 10 external tables and 10 targets. At least we can do some end-to-end project, right? If you do these 3 pipelines from that master, right, maybe your data engineering, work complete end-to-end, right? Clear, right?
Yes,
Now, if you're executing here, 10 clusters will open, right? 10 clusters will create, right? And this maybe the same single interactive cluster will use, it will execute 10 notebooks parallel. Right?
but
Maybe
this
you may,
polybase is the setup is only one time activity, right, bro?
it's why one-time activity. Own external table concept one-time activity. But the physical tables every day you have to do refresh, right?
Okay, okay, got it.
Then I'm talking about physical table, right?
Okay,
Then you should create one stored procedure in Azure SQL DW. The stored procedure will take the data from external tables and it will write the data to main tables.
okay, got it.
Clear, right?
Yeah, got it.
Create one
Like,
master, execute pipeline 1, 2, and 3. Test your recovery also, right? So make
yes.
out this notebook failure. Something you can give the wrong path quantity. You can make out failure. While resubmitting, right, it should execute only from this one, right?
Okay.
Make out this only failure, right? Give some wrong table name, external table wrong name, right? It definitely it will fail. While resubmitting, it should execute only this one.
So yeah, like after second step, like the data will be automatically inserted into external tables. So by using this polybase pipeline, we can load the data to other physical tables. by using
Correct.
external table, right?
Correct. Yes, you should
Okay.
write some stored procedure.
Okay, got it.
Clear, right? This also you can try. I mean, you can use the proper keyword concept also, right? Use proper keyword, right? Use proper keyword. If you want, you can do the deployments also. Right? Use proper keyword from source to target. Use for loop, lookup, everything you can use. Clear, right? Any doubts?
I'm clear, bro. My side
Okay.
clear.
Yeah. Yesterday you asked one question, right? Kiran, checkpoint.
Yes, sir.
I think checkpoint. Cache. So these are the two different concepts are available in the Databricks, but checkpoint we should not use. Instead of checkpoint, I mean, it's not too much flexibility compared to the cache. So what is the usage of the checkpoint? The checkpoint will help out any fault tolerance. All right, if you're executing, if you're encountering any fault tolerance issues, right? Fault tolerance means maybe the backend something went wrong. All right. So what it will do, your Spark, it will check the especially the replication factor, and again it will execute the process from the starting, right? From the starting, right? In case we want to overcome that issue, right, physically will write your data, I mean your RDDs, the backend it will convert into the RDDs, right? Your data from data, you can maintain the data into the your checkpoint location, but you can maintain the data into the your physically, right? Other you can create a Hadoop file system, or you can maintain your ADLS or DBFS. So next time, whenever it is restarting, right, it will take the data from your checkpoint. Right, when it will be useful if you are executing some lengthy process. From that lengthy process, maybe, right, or sorry, you're expecting maybe job may fail in between, right? Job may fail. Maybe it could be some cluster issue, could be some XYZ issue, right? Maybe you want to take the data from that every time from this physical location for other calculations. You want to improve the performance, right? At that time, checkpoint will help out. But the problem here, physically we should maintain that location. Only the problem, physically we should maintain the data. Whenever you're executing a checkpoint, the files will be available into these locations. From that location, it will take the data. But that location should be right available to your cluster very near, right? Very near. If something went wrong also, this data will not be terminated. If you remove terminate your cluster shutdown also, it will not be terminated. From the next time, you can take the data from your checkpoint location. But the cache, it is always in memory, fastest access location compared to your checkpoint. But something went wrong, your cluster disconnected, your cache also it will gone, right? Because your Spark, everything it is in memory computation, lazy evaluation, right? Once you're executing your action, right? If you're executing your action n number of times on the same data frame, right? N number of times it will take the data, right? N number of times it will go and create and take the data. But why should I take that? Why should I execute n number of times? Right? I want to execute only once. The rest of the time I want to take the data from that memory, because your Spark also memory, but still memory itself, if you're executing that action, but each and every time it will go and create. Every time I don't want to create, go and create only once. The next execution, I don't want to perform again the data frame execution. Let me take the data from the in memory. At that time, cache will help out. Checkpoint will help out in case your cluster is having some issues continuously. It is terminating, right? Then you want to take the data from the last checkpoint. Right? At that time, you have to create a checkpoint. You have to create your checkpoint means, but physically you have to maintain your directory. I mean, your Spark context AC dot checkpoint within the, I mean, parenthesis, you should maintain the your directory within the double quotes, or either ADLS folder details, or your Databricks file system, or Hadoop distributed file system, HDFS, right? Not HDFC, HDFS. Any file system you can maintain, but cache no need to maintain that location. It is it in memory only. But the checkpoint physically you have to maintain the your location. Right? One way of performance improvement, but only here the pain physically we should maintain. So these files it will not be deleted automatically. It always it will create the your data files, or always it will create the your data files on your checkpoint location. Right? If you're creating your checkpoint on RDD or data frame, the data everything will be transferred to this location parallel. Again, it is a kind of your space issue, right? Space issues, but right every time you're not encountering any cluster issues, right? If you're encountering cluster issue, then you can go and take this data. But cache it's a very good compared to their checkpoint. People will prefer the cache, not checkpoint. But only people will prefer the checkpoint if they are maintaining the maybe explicit cluster creation, right? Their managed cluster, I'm talking explicit means managed cluster. Maybe they're physically they're creating the cluster in one of their virtual machines. Maybe their virtual machines are having that issues continuously. At that time they may use the checkpoint. They should write that logic. If something went wrong, the next restart point from this checkpoint, they should come up with the logic. They should come up with the logic. Okay, something went wrong, the restart point from this checkpoint. In this way at least you can improve your data loads. But only the problem physically we should maintain the your data files. Automatically it will not terminate. Then you can come up with some logic to eliminate your old checkpoints informations. Clear, right?
Yes, sir.
But only for performance tuning point of view. But people will prefer the cache means df.cache, right? So when should I use the df.cache? If a data frame is reused multiple times in your code, then only use the df.cache. If a data frame not reused more than once, no need to take the cache, right? Additional step, right? But if you're 100% sure this data frame is being used more than two times, right? Three times or four times, but 100% go and use the cache. It will give the very, very good performance. It will give the very, very good performance. One of the performance tuning tip is the cache because it's a lazy evaluations. Next time your data frame, it will not go and create, right? Next it will take the data from your cache because it will check the do we have the df is available. If it is available, it will take the data. If it is not available, again it will go and recreate. If you're executing this df n number of times from that action, n number of times it will create, right? N number of times it will take the data from your location. I don't want to go with the number of times. Let me take the data only once. The next time if I'm executing any action, please take the data from the in memory. It will get a very good performance. df.cache. This is one of the performance tip in the Databricks or in the Spark. Clear, right?
Yes, sir.
But this Azure SQL DW check with, I mean, Parquet is available. I think they enabled Parquet also. But they enabled that Parquet, right? Write the data, I mean, write the data into either Delta Lake or Parquet or maybe CSV file. Then you can execute the Azure SQL DW. But recently they enabled, not recently, I think maybe 6 months or 1 year back only, they enabled a special Parquet also in the Azure SQL. Earlier it was only the CSV files, but now they enabled to Parquet also. Clear, right? In case if you are creating the multiple I mean, part files, right, that create into that only single file, then don't create the delta. In case delta, I'm not sure whether it will work or not. Right? If it is not working, right, then only take write the data into that delta, but on top of it, create into CSV also. On top of it, create into that CSV. That on top of it, you can create a same. Create two locations, right? Create two location. One is delta file, right? One is CSV. I'm talking about these are folders, right? For example, CSV folders from the same data frame, right? From the same data frame. That what we will use df dot right df dot right. The format is delta, the format is the CSV. You can use two times the write operation. One write operation for delta, another write operation for the CSV. Right. Then you can use, otherwise this is also possible. I mean, insert overwrite operation, overwrite here target table name, table name. select star from star from the source table, source data frame. But while creating into the CSV table name, right? CSV table name, create table name structure using CSV location. You can give the CSV location using the CSV location. Perform overwrite operation, right? Perform overwrite operations. Every time it will overwrite the data into your target location. Clear it. Don't do drop. Okay. Don't drop this table. Don't drop this table. Like delta drop if table exists. Right? Don't use for your CSV. Don't use for your CSV. You can just use insert override to your target table name. Select star from your source table means here df create or replace to source table. Insert override your CSV table name, right? In case if it is not working delta for your Azure SQL DW, right? Then use the CSV table. The CSV table you can convert into only the single file. Right, from here you can create external tables pointing to the single table. Right, you can execute your polybase method. In case of the 99.9% delta, it will not work. But maybe not sure if the recently they enable delta option to Azure SQL DW, then you can go and use. If it is not working, use this option. Clear it, but don't drop this table. Don't drop this table. But this table is not equal to your delta, right? Don't drop this table. Delta we can drop because old files it will always available. Any doubts?
Like in a SQL DW, physical table means like facts or dimensions or any other
Correct. Correct. Any table, physical table means the table name, not external table, right? Create a table, B table also, right?
Okay.
But the table should be physically created, right?
Yes. So in
Just
in this pipeline, we can use that REST API concept also. Let's pause and start.
yeah, you
Pause
should
and
use.
rest.
Yeah, you can use in before this third pipeline. You can use resume and pass.
Yes. Yes.
There is just one of the good option. You can go and use the third of resume and pass also. You can use. Means before DW resume, after DW stored procedure pass, right?
Yes.
Right. Resume and usually I just equal to pass, right? You can go and use the resume.
Yes. Sir.
Post completion, you can send out your large cup also if you want. The fourth one, right? The fourth one, send email communication. Once four completed, right? You can send out an email that period is master successfully completed. Here, individual pipeline, you can use it for only failed one, right? Not success, right? Right? Here inside, you can use it failed one. This pipeline failed. This pipeline failed. This one failed. But this one only for success. Once three complete successfully, create one more pipeline only. Send out that email communications.
Okay.
Your payload is master complete successfully. You can mention. Any doubts? No, right? Jagdish, sir, any doubts?
No, sir.
Divya, Uday, no doubts, right? Okay. Take some 10-15 minutes break. Okay, we'll connect. We'll finish that pandas also. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Suresh, it's okay, right, Suresh, for you? I think
Yeah, that's okay.
okay. Yeah, I will not take more time. Pandas anyway is equivalent to SQL only. Just I'll explain high level. We'll execute few comments in the pandas.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Yeah. Take some 10-15 minutes break. We'll connect 9:30.
Thank you, sir.
Hello. Hello. Jagdish sir.
Hello,
Yes,
sir.
Anna.
Mm, okay. So only you both are there.
No, all are there, I think, sir.
They're not
Chandru also.
speaking, right?
Bala, Chandra, Divya, Kiran,
I'm
Sai,
there, bro. I'm there.
Tri,
Only
Yogesh.
you both
Yeah,
are
Anna.
speaking.
No, Chandru also there. He just messaged me. Yes.
But he will not speak, right? Chandra, he will not speak, right? Because he knows
No,
everything, right?
sir. Some disturbance, so I'm in mute.
Okay. From mind is some disturbance. That's why you're not speaking, right?
No, not from your end, sir.
No, from your
From
end.
my
Okay. I thought from my okay. I thought from my end only.
no, sir, no, sir.
But when you will search the job, all you started, right? The process searching started,
Yes,
right?
sir. I'm preparing, sir. Databricks I'm preparing.
Okay. Still you're preparing only.
Yes.
Okay. Most this year, next year.
Next week I'll
So when you
update resume, sir.
okay, super.
Uh,
Bala Prasad, and only pending from you and Bala only. The good news.
sure, sir. Definitely I will say soon, sir.
In case if you have any doubts, just please connect with Kiran. He will help out. Already helped to Divya and Uday also, right? Please connect with Kiran. 100% he will help out.
Okay, sir. Okay.
He's a good person. He will
We
help
already
out.
discussed, Anna. We already
Okay,
discussed.
super, super. Bala Prasad, Bala. I think maybe he's away. I think. Okay, we can start, right? Just, yeah. Let me share my screen. It's very easy that pandas, but I mean 70% we may not use pandas in the real time because we are not working on the Python, but 30% chances are there still if you are using the Databricks also. Few cases we may use the pandas when in case if you don't have any libraries in your Spark or PySpark to read the data from some unknown file, some unknown format. At that time, maybe we may dependent on Python. We may dependent on Python, we may dependent on pandas at that time. So pandas as is equivalent to your Spark data frame only. Means rows and columns, right? It is equivalent to like your table only, like your table rows and columns. Right? Especially the pandas means the Python data analysis tool. It is a Python data analysis tool or library, right? Especially with the help of the pandas, right? Mostly the pandas will be used by your data analytics team. In case if they want to perform some analysis, right? Some analyticals if they want to perform, maybe they're reading the data from the file systems. It could be anything, Hadoop file system or data lake file system or normal CSV or text files. It contains combination of rows and columns, right? They, on top of it, they want to perform the SQL operations. But no, the data is the file system, right? Again, if it's the data is available in the table, happily we can execute our queries, right? We can execute the queries, we can perform the analytics. But unfortunately, the data is not in the table, right? The data is not in the table. But how can you perform the analytics? But how can you perform the analytics? The data is available in the CSV. The data is available in the CSV files, or some text files, some Hadoop file system, blob system, Amazon S3, some XYZ file systems. I want to perform that analysis. Analytics means yes, maybe I want to perform some kind of aggregations. Maybe I want to eliminate the duplicates. I want to retrieve only the specific rows. But I want to extract only the quarter information, month information. Some SQL RAID operations I want to execute on top of it your files. But how can I execute? Right at that time, your pandas will help out. Your pandas will help out. I think I shared the PPT, right? Right. It is very easy only. Python. I mean, pandas is not hard. If you know SQL, pandas as is same only.
Why
But only
Pandas
this,
PPT you
I
didn't
think
share,
she
sir?
she
Now,
shared.
okay, sir. Sorry, sir. Now I got it, sir.
Okay. Everyone received, right? Okay. Super. Let's see the Python data analysis library called pandas. But if you want to perform the same SQL operation on the file system, right? We'll use the pandas. We'll use the pandas to perform your analysis or analytics. suited for only the structured data. It is particularly well suited for your structured data. Means your tabular format means your table data, right? Rows and columns. Rows and columns, right? Data comes in many shapes and formats, and it's not synonymous with your relation database. It's not equal to your database concept. But in case if you have any structured data, if you want to execute the relational database queries, right, on the file system, we'll use that pandas. Any right CSV files, plain text, Parquet, Hadoop, anything. If your pandas supports any file system, right, we can do that analysis. Right. Majority data scientists, they will use the pandas. 99.99% they will use pandas if they're doing that, especially any analysis with the help of the Python, right? 100% they will use the pandas. Only data engineers may or may not, because already we have the Spark, PySpark, right? Why should I use the pandas? Because your Python is not a distributed, right? Python is not a distributed, so that's why we are using the Spark or PySpark APIs, right? Even pandas also have the data frame concept. Pandas also, actually the data frame concept, initially it was introduced into the R programming language. From that R, from that R, it is inherited to your Spark or PySpark. It is inherited to your Python also. But the original data frame concept was implemented into the R programming language, because R is a statistical programming language, right? The data scientist, if they want to read the data from the any CSV or any XYZ file, so at that time they will take the, I mean, they will read the data file from that pond, I mean, from the data frame. On top of it, they can perform the, especially all that operations, query language operations, query language operations they will perform. The same concept they introduced it into that pandas. With the help of the pandas also, we can create the your data frames. The same, right? For example, if you want to perform that SQL, right, will run select a column list from table name, where, group by, having, order by, right? So you'll follow the proper syntax, right, in SQL, right? Here also, yes, we should follow the pandas syntax, not select statement, not from class, not where class, group by, having, order by, but we can implement this all these operations with the help of the pandas also. With the help of the pandas also, you can execute your SQL. If you know SQL, pandas is very easy. Maybe only the syntax is different. Only the syntax is different. For example, let me create the data. Let me create one dictionary. So this is my dictionary, right? Control C. Got it. The type, country data. So this is a dictionary, right? Now your data is in the dictionary format. If you want to see the data, you're at Brazil, the country, capital, area, and population, right? If you execute the keys, it will display your column names, right? If you're executing the values, it will display that values, right? It will display that values, but it's very hard to perform that analysis, right? It's very hard to perform that analysis because you have to use that for loop. From that for loop you have to display that each and every record, right? Because from that country, right, from the country you have the Brazil, Russia, India, China, these countries, these are the capitals, maybe these are their populations or these are your country, that area information, right? But I want to perform that basically the tabular format data. The tabular format data here will use the pandas. Here we'll use the pandas. You have to import here pandas library. Right, you have to import pandas library. Right, import pandas as a PD. Just I'm creating some alias. Otherwise, no need to create alias. Just you can use pandas dot data frame. So basically, you're creating the data frame. So the data frame, nothing but it is equivalent to your spreadsheet. It is a combination of rows and columns. Combination of rows and columns. It will take the data from your country data, right? From this dictionary. From this dictionary, it will create your data frame. Let me go and execute. Now the data in the proper tabular format, right? Country, capital, area, population, right? See, now you have the country is your header, right? These are your keys information. But if you observe in the country, it is a come list information. Your capital also list information. Your area also list information. Your population also list information. But your data frame, what it will do, it will take the country and capital, area and population as a column header. The first record, this is a row, Brazil, this Brazil, and this area information, and the first record is your population, right? Next Russia and Moscow, and the second element, and here the second element. The third one, right, from country, the third element, capital third element, area third element, population third element acted as a third row. But in case we want to display the data like this, then you should write some for loop, right? You should write some for loop. From the for loop also, right, this is separate, you should execute your keys separate, right? First you execute your keys, right? Then you should display your data with proper space, right? With the proper space you should execute, right? The separator you should use the space, right? But it's very hard to display the data, especially in the Python programming language, right? In the Python programming language it's very hard to display, right? Because you should come up with the proper for loop, right? You should come up with proper for loop and you can display the data, right? But why should I use that for loop, right? Only I can create my data frames from that pandas. Now your data frame will take the data from this CSV file, or sorry, this dictionary. From this dictionary it will create the data frame. Now your bricks is equivalent to data frame, right? Your bricks equivalent to, not this is Spark data frame, right? Here pandas data frame, right? Pandas dot code dot frame dot data frame, right? Now this is your data frame, but from pandas, not from your PySpark, not from your PySpark. But if you want, you can create, you can convert bricks dot tab. It's not available. Right. Now your data is available in the data frame. Right now the data is available in the data frame. You can happily see the data into the tabular format. Whether it could be dictionary, it could be CSV, it could be Park, or it could be anything, right? It could be anything. You can read the data into the proper tabular format. Read the data into that proper tabular format. Correct. So these are your index numbers, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is your index number. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is your index number. These are country, capital, area is your column header information. These are your keys. So this is your data. This is your data. This is your data. This is your data. Right. With the help of pandas library, we can create the data frame from the dictionary. From the dictionary. If you want, you can display your headers also. Right. Just you can set up your index information, right? Now I don't want to see my header, I mean like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't want to see. I don't want to see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? This index, I don't want to see the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, you can use your own index also. You can use your own index also. You can set up. That is also one of the advantage. Right? You can feed your own index number. Right? Yes. So this is a Brazil data. This is your Russia data. This is India. This is China. This is your England data also. You can create your own index. Especially these kind of analysis will help out to your end users or maybe your analytics team. Not for data engineer. For data engineer, I don't care what that index name, right? I'm especially worried about the number of rows and number of columns. On top of it, we can perform the proper transformations, right? These index it may not help out, right? In case if you want to filter the specific information, then I'll go the specific country, right? I'll go with the specific country. I'll go with the specific country because I can perform the filter condition based on my country information, right? Based on my country information also. We can do. Clear, right? Even you can do bricks dot. Right. It will display your index location also. It will display. I mean, we can use iLocation to get your data. Even we have that location also. Bricks, right? Bricks dot. This is your iLocation. It will display your index numbers, location display your BRERUIN. This is also possible from your data frames. Or even you can read the data from that Excel or CSV files. CSV files. You can create your pandas. You can create your pandas also possible. Right. Let me read the data. PD dot. Let me read the data from your CSV file. File store slash table. Let me see this regions data. Airports. No such for directory. Correct DBFS colon file store tables airports.csv. It's not considering. No, because this pandas is not able to read the data from the database file system with the regular syntax slash file store. Then we should use the DBFS, not DBFS colon, because there's a limitation in the Python, right? In case it's not able to identify the database file system, in case if you're using this syntax only, it will read. Okay. Now you have the data, right? Now you have the data airports.csv within the proper format, right? It's within the proper rows and columns, right? How many rows? 65,000 rows, 18 columns, right? 65,204 rows and 18 columns. If you want to see the specific column data, right? If you want to see the specific column data, right? Your data frame, right? Then you can use your column, I think ID, right? Like your select statement, right? Like your select statement. Right in that Oracle, if you want to retrieve the data, what you will do? Select the column name from table name, right? The select column name from the table name. But in the data frame, right, you can use your data frame, right? Within the square bracket, you can use your ID. Right? If you want to see the second row, second column, it will give the syntax issue. We'll see that what are the columns. Keywords. Airports. DF. It will see the type. Let's see. Now you're able to retrieve more than one column, right? If you want to retrieve more than one column, then we have to use that one more a square bracket. Right? So this is syntax for more than one column. If you have that only single column, directly we can use that ID. But if you want to retrieve more than one column, right? More than one column, then we should use the here square bracket. Then you have to use that one more square bracket for to display your number of columns. To display your number of only the syntax is very hard, especially in the pandas. Right, if you convert into the SQL, right, select ID comma type comma from airports underscore df table name. But how can you extract the columns from the pandas? Your pandas data frame name in the square bracket. You should mention your column names in the list. Column names in the list. Right. We'll try this example also. Let me put into the column name into that list. Right. This also you can create one list, right, to maintain your column names, right? Column names. Then you can call out your data frame, right? You can call out your data frame, right? Then you can mention your list name. You can mention your list name to display your column names. Display your column names. If you want to receive specific rows, right? Right. So this kind of slicing, right? This is a kind of slicing. Means your filter condition, right? Select a star from table name where row num less than 4, right? In that oracle, select a star from table name where row num less than 4 means what it will do, it will display the first 3 records, right? First 3 records. Here also, if you want to select only specific rows, right? If you want to extract only selective rows, right? They can then you can use this slicing, right? Always your index will start with 0, right? 0 colon 3 means start from 0 ending with 2 records, ending with your second index. If you want, you can specific, you can write to your specific record also. 1000, right? 1000 and 1000. Starting index and end index. Starting index and end index. So this is equivalent to your where class. This is equivalent to your where class. Select a star from airports DF where in case if you have that any row number physically where row num, right, greater than or equal to 1000 and less than or equal to 1001 or less than 1002. This is nothing but your kind of your where class. If you want to do the selective records, we can use that, especially the slicing operator in it. Python also will do the same thing, right? If you want to extract the data from the list, if the list contains a number of elements, then you can mention your index number, right? The same methodology we can use into that pandas. Clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Right, see here. In case we don't want to see that index column, right, then we'll use the so by default, index column start with 0. If you want, you can mention index column equal to, right? There is an index column, right? But you're not able to see the index column, right? If you want to exclude that index column, you can give the index column equal to 0. Let me execute columns. Right? So the first two records, right? The first record will display. In case if you don't want to see your index column, right, then you can use that index column equal to 0. Index column equal to 0. Right, in your output, no, I don't want to see that index column. Right, I don't want to see that index column. Right, then you can off your index column equal to 0. Yeah, this is your first four of the means first four records. 4 to 6 record, right? So this is your number of columns. If you want to do the selection, right, number of columns, this is your single column, right? The same, the Python programming language, the slicing also we can implement in case we want to select the specific column, right? Right, we'll use the especially key name, right, in the some dictionary concept, right? Right, your dictionary name and your key name, right? The same concept only they were implemented into the data frame, correct? They are implemented the same, right? You have that I location and location also, all right? In case if you want to display the data, let me see the first one. See your ident information, right? Your ident information type name means your second record, right? This is your second record, right? If you want to see that first record, then you can mention your index number, type name, latitude name, longitude. So this is your first record. See, this is your column, right? Identity, type, name, keywords, name. These are your column. So this is your data type. This is your data type. You can use that index also. Index, but we don't have the data, right? Let me take the first one. Bricks. Sorry, location. And then you can see that your specific location name also. You can see the specific location name. My location, we should give the index number. We should give that index. But you can see that India information. Alright, if you have the specific your own index, right? If your own index, then you can give that your index name. No, you don't have that index. Your index maybe start with 0, 1, 2, 3, right? Then you can use that numbers. So these kind of calculations definitely it will help out your analytics team, not maybe data engineer. Data engineer will not see the only one record by record, right? Will perform the group of calculations, right? But in case if you want to perform some analytics on your CSV data, right, as the end user, right, as the end user or role, maybe at that time the pandas will help out. Pandas will help out. Clear, right? Yeah, just please, I mean, I will share this PP, I'll share the PPT, right? Just to download the, some couple of files are available, right? I think already I opened. Right from this site, you can download all these files. But I mean, in case we want to perform that end-to-end data loads, right? Take this data, and do your data engineering work. Read the data from the landing. On top of it, you can execute your Databricks code. Not for pandas. I'm talking about Spark or PySpark. Right? Write the data into the target location. Implement the delta. Then you will see the huge amount of data, right? I mean, these files are having it is some sufficient data. Some sufficient data you can perform instead of 10, 15 records, right? You can download this data, right? You can perform some modeling also. If you want, you can perform the model. See that this all that data sets. Do we have that any relationship, right? If you have the relationship, you can build some kind of model also, right? Kind of model also you can build. Take this data, do the data processing from the data factory. On top of it, you can execute Databricks. Then you can write the data to your Azure SQL DW also. In case if you, for example, you don't want to create your own data, right? Take this data. You can do your Python pandas, and you can perform for your data engineering work also, like ADF, ADB, and SQL DW. But SQL DW is you should create the proper detailed definition. Take the, I mean, primary keys from the files. Primary keys from that files. Right. Let me create these three data frames. If you don't want to use the Databricks, if you want to use the Jupyter notebook, then upload these files into your local machine, right? C drive or D drive. There you can provide your path details, C colon or D colon or E colon. In case if you want to do the practice from the Databricks, then use this syntax. From local, you can use your folder details. DBFS file store tables, airports, no such file directory. Underscore. You can see the data. See, the first file and second file, just observe, do we have any relationship? Maybe ID the relationship. If it is ID, right, we can do the joins, right? You can do the joins. You can extract this information also, right? The frequency information. Just observe the source and airports and airport, the frequency you can observe. What is the common column, right? What is the common joint column, right? Take this joint column and you can perform the join between these two data sets, right? Two data sets. Then you can extract that other information also, right? Runways. This is here. Runways information. Just check the first two data sets. Runways is having any common data, right? Any common joint condition, right? If it is available, then you can take the joint between airports and runways, or airport frequency or runways. If it is having the joint condition from these three data sets, then you can perform the your joint condition and extract other information, right? That is also you can do, right? I mean, you can do the calculations from the Databricks, take that all the 6 or 7 data sets, do some data modeling and identify. So what is that common column between all the data sets? Do we have any relationship between the file to file? If you're able to find out the relationship, right, then you can perform the joins, either left outer join or right outer, left anti, left semi, full join, or cross join, or non-equi join. What is join? You can perform into the Databricks or Spark SQL. Now we have created some data sets, right? So this is will do the some SQL comparison, right? In the SQL, we'll do the select star from the table name, right? Just as if airports is a table name. If you want to display all the rows, all the columns, we'll use the star. Will exclude your where condition, right? But what is that equivalent to the pandas? Simple your data frame name, right? Your data frame name. Let's select a star from table name, limit 3, right? In case we want to restrict your records in the SQL Server or Azure SQL DB, right? Not a, I mean, maybe the Spark SQL also, right? We'll use the limit option, right? Limit 3. So here we'll use that head information. We'll use that head information. Or you can use your slicing also, right? You can use your slicing. For example, runways, runways dot head of 3. Otherwise, you can use runways of 0 colon 2. Both are same, right? But then you can use 4. But head of 3, 0 1 2, right? Use 3. Only 3 records, right? 3 records. Right, either you can use head command or you can use your slicing. Both are same, right? The head is used to display the first 3 records, right? Right. The head, it will display the 3 observations, right? The 3 observations. Here also we can use the slicing operator. 0 colon 3, right? Starting index 0 and index 3 means 3 minus 1, right? Till second index you will see the data. Otherwise you can use the head command. The same thing in Oracle where row number less than 4, right? Or row number less than 4. In the Spark SQL, select a star from your columns, limit 3 means it will display it will restrict only 3 records in your output, right? That your output. In case if you want to apply where column equal to, right, clacks, right, I want to see that only this data, all right, means just now we discussed data frame, right, square bracket open, and within the double quotes id, or if you want to display the number of columns, we have taken that list, right? But what is the requirement? Selective columns and selective rows. Selective columns and selective rows. Inside your data frame, take your data frame name dot your column name equal to your filter condition dot id. If, for example, if you want to implement the same concept in the PySpark data frame, what will do? Data frame dot to filter, right? Parenthesis open here, call of identity or your data frame name dot column name equivalent to that filter value dot select id, right? Right, Kiran? For example, if I want to execute same into the data frame, PySpark data frame I'm talking about. Right, what is the syntax? For example, so this is your PySpark data frame. Just assume this is your PySpark data frame. Means here spark.read.format maybe. Right, here reading the data from that airports.csv. Right, if I want to extract only the clacks data, right, the clacks data, the row level filter conditions, then we can use the filter or where class, right?
Yeah, filter column of
Airports dot what is your column identity, right, equivalent to your data, right? Dot select. If you want to retrieve only one column, right, only one column, all right, dot display. Maybe I'm not creating one more data frame, just simply I want to display. So this is data frame syntax, right? PySpark data frame syntax, right? Here the syntax, right, air data frame of your column name dot your value dot year ID means I want to select only that ID column. That here the distinct type from airport. But in PySpark, right, data frame dot drop duplicates. Right? Drop duplicates are will use data frame dot select type dot distinct. Here I will use the data frame name dot column name dot unique. Data frame name dot column name dot unique. Right. For example, runways dot what is the duplicate airports will see airports will type. Now you're able to see that only the type information, that only you're able to see the type information. If you want to see that specific column, this is also one of the syntax to display the specific column, or you can use airports square bracket and column name. But then let me use it will eliminate the duplicates. Right? It will eliminate the duplicates. Now you're able to see that only that unique records, right? Heliport, small airport, closed. These are their types informations. Right here, you had seen 65,000 records, right? Now you're able to see the only few records because you're executing unique functions, right? Means you want to eliminate the duplicates from the type column, right? Now you're able to see the only few specific records. Few specific records. Now if you want to apply the filter condition, right? If you want to apply the filter condition dot type equal to, we'll see, closed. Great. Now you're able to see that only the type equal to closed data. Right? The type equal to closed data, you're able to see. The type equal to closed data, you're able to see. But if you want to display only the specific column, right? If you want to display the only the specific column, right? You can see not ID, ISO control. Right? 6997 records. You can apply. Right? These are your unique ISO control data. Your data frame name, your data frame name dot column, but square brackets. In the PySpark, we'll use the parenthesis, right? Equal to closed. So this is your dot select ISO country. On top of it, you're using the district. Right. So this is your Panda syntax. The data frame, PySpark data frame syntax is a different, right? Additionally, you should use the dot select. Then you should use the distinct operation. Here, airports dot filter. Airports dot filter. The data frame name dot column name equal to your filter condition. Clear, right?
Yes, sir.
It would be great if you add one more column. Just add one more column and use your PySpark syntax. Use your PySpark syntax. Even head also we have available, right? In the PySpark head also available, right? Here filter where class filter condition. Unique means use the distinct. Unique means use the distinct. Right? This is your multiple conditions, right? The same and conditions you can use and you can perform with multiple conditions. This is multiple columns. This is your multiple columns. For example, in the previous example, let me remove this unique. Right now you're able to see that only one column, right? Let me remove one column. Right, so these are here more than one columns, right? More than one columns. If you want, you can mention here condition, right? Then you can mention your identity and name and your other column names also you can mention. Means same way you can create your list, right? Same way you can create your list. Right here, the list object you can mention, right? The list object you can mention, right? ID, comma, ISO country, ISO country not index. Right, you can see these three columns also. Right, you can see these three columns. Right, now you're able to see that output, right? On top of it, I want to perform the ID, ISO country, ISO region. Only selective columns, right? If you want to do that only selective columns, you can execute. You can execute. I think let me try with the indexing also. 0:3. Great. Selective columns and selective rows. Selective columns and selective columns and selective rows also. You can execute. Clear, right? The multiple conditions means you can use and symbol or symbol. Let's say here where is the condition. This is a condition, right? You can add your condition and symbol or symbol. You can add a condition. But here you can use your and symbol. IS for reason. Right, you're able to see that only USAR information. Right? Even PySpark also will do the same thing, right? The multiple conditions will be included within the parentheses. Then you can perform their conditions. This here, multiple conditions. You can use a and symbol or symbol. If you want to select multiple records, multiple columns, create the list. Create the list. If you're not including the list, it will display all the columns. Right? In this example, it will display all the columns. It will look for region data and the type data, right? But it will display all the columns. So no, I don't want to display all the columns, right? Then you can mention your column name list in the list. Right? Same order by also you can execute. Right? You can execute your order by also. But only the syntax will change. right? You're performing the filter condition, then you're executing a sort values. And if it is descending order, all right, then ascending equal to false. Ascending equal to false, then it will display the descending order. Even PySpark also same thing, right? Ascending equal to 1 or 0. 1 means it is ascending order. 0 means it is a descending order, right? But either you can use true or false also, right? You can use a true or false. Even sort method or order by method into that PySpark. Clear, right? Just go through this PPT. I mean, so this is very easy only. So just you can, I mean, it would be great if you create one more additional columns and provide your PySpark syntax. PySpark syntax. The interview at least maybe 5% that they will ask you about pandas also. But they may ask you, do you have any knowledge on the pandas? What is the usage of the pandas? What is the difference between pandas data frame and PySpark data frame? Definitely the syntax will differ. The second one is a distributed processing, right? Distributed processing. Yeah, the advantage in the pandas, you will see that index number also, right? You will see that index number also. You will see indexing also, slicing also possible, right? But if you want to implement in that data frame, then you should think about your column, right? Based on your column only, it will perform that operation. But here, directly you can use your slicing also. Even you can use, say, easing also available in PySpark, right? Easing also available in the PySpark, right? Easing, right? Here number of values, right? If not in, then you can use your negotiation, right? So tilde operator you can use, it means which are not available in these types. When the same function is available in Spark, right? Spark is available, is in available, right? Is not available in the PySpark, but is in available. Is in available in PySpark. You can use is in, or if not in means you can use your tilde operator, right? You can use your tilde operator or with the same example in SQL, in operator, not in operator. In operator and not operator. You can use your symbol to means exclude these records. That's why you're using the symbol before your data frame. You just go through this PPT. I think we understandable only. I mean, this understandable only document. It's very easy. I mean, just you can execute once, but at least maybe 3 to 5% you may get questions on pandas also in the real time. Right? If you want to perform the group by and size nothing but your count. Size nothing but your count. Size nothing but your count. Right? If you want to doing that column name, right? Size column name, you want to display the size in your output, right? Then you can do the two frame. You can because size is not a column in your data frame, right? If you want to create the column, you have to use a two underscore frame, like kind of alias concept. They're kind of aliasing place, but in the data frame, they're mandatory. We should create the index, right? Because you are creating into the new column. Then you should change your index also, right? You should change index means, right? It will create a number of columns, right? You should change the index. Now you have added the new column, right? In case if you want to add multiple columns ascending or descending order, right? Then the sort values you can mention your list, right? You can mention true or false. True means ascending order, false means your descending order. And in this example, you're performing your group by calculations based on ISO country and type. You want to create one third column size. Right? Based on these two column, you want to perform the count. But while displaying that output, ascending order, ISO country, ascending order, size, descending order. In case if you are encountering any duplicates from the count, you want to see the latest data. That is your group by and count order below. The same, the group by the previous example only. So this is your having class, right? This is your having class. If you want to restrict your data, right? If you're restricting the data, right? In SQL, we'll use the group by class having count of star, right? Having count of star greater than 10,000, 1,000 or 10,000, right? Here also same thing. Group by, right? I mean, you're performing the filter condition, then you're performing the your group by. On top of it, filter, right? On top of it, filter, you're you're taking some lambda function, right? You're taking that lambda function because we don't have the direct having class, right? We should perform the logic. We should perform the logic. Here, length of j, right? Your length of g, it will take the data from your size value. If size is greater than these things, then only it will display the selector records. Then only it will display the your selector records. Right now, your g will come from your group by type and your size. Because we don't have direct having class, that's why we are using the filter condition. On top of it, you are using the length of g, because what is the g value? The g value is coming from your size. The g value is coming from the your size, because again you're calculating the type group by and size. The size value it will send to that your g. Each and every type it will calculate, it will do that filter condition. If it is condition is true, it will display the data. If the condition is false, it will not display the data. Right, this is a largest record, top end record. Right. So this is your Spark SQL. This is your Spark SQL. With Azure SQL DB also we have the limit function. So this is your Spark SQL syntax, not SQL, Spark SQL. Here we have the enlarged function. Enlarged function. This is your tail from bottom. If you want to, you can use the dot tail. Otherwise, you can by default head only. Right? By default, it is the head. This is your top record. You can perform the aggregate functions also. Like you can use it AGG. You can perform the aggregate functions. Minimum, maximum, mean, median also you can perform on your column, right? On your column, length of the column, you can perform aggregations, right? What kind of aggregation you want to perform, you can include. Right? You can perform all your aggregate calculations, right? Length of 50 is my column name, right? From that 50, I want to perform minimum, maximum, mean, median, all the calculations also you can perform. But at the same in PySpark also, right? Your runways dot group by dot agg, right? Bracket open, minimum function, maximum function. You can also perform. But here also you can perform your joins. Right. With the help of that merge, you can perform the joins. But here you have to mention what is your join condition. Left on, right on, how is in. Same here Spark syntax only. Data frame name dot join data frame 2. Then you should mention your column names, right? Plus your join type, right? Your join type. The last one is you want to display the only these columns. Let's see inside. I mean the second data frame, right? The second data frame, right? They're performing the filter condition. They're taking that only the class record ID column, right? Or at the left on airport underscore or reference, they're taking some third party data frame and they're performing the join condition. This same it is equivalent to your PySpark data frame only. But instead of the join, you have to use the merge statement. Right? We have that union all also available. Right? You can perform that union also, it is available. It's concatenation. We'll use the concatenation. Alright, we have you can use even drop duplicates also. You can use the drop duplicates to eliminate the your records. So this is your first data frame. So this is your second data frame. We are doing the concatenation. Just try these syntaxes. In case if you have any doubts, just let me know. don't spend too much time on pandas. At least execute once all the commands. Just understand the concept and syntax. But at least 8 to 5% you may get questions on the pandas. We may use 20 to 30% pandas in the real time. When in case if you don't have any libraries in PySpark, for example, you're reading the data from some XYZ file format. That XYZ file format that is not having the connectors in PySpark at that time, we may use that pandas because pandas is a Python library, right? 99.99% maybe from that Python we can read the data from that all the files, right? All the files. Clear, right? Just to go through that PPT, it's a very understandable format only because I had given complete SQL versus the data from syntax. Just you can compare. Any doubts?
Go through and let me know.
In case we want to convert, right here, data frame to pandas, it is possible. Dot to pandas we can use, but pandas to data frame, the same example, right? Spark dot create data frame. Then you can use your now your data frame contains rows and columns, right? Rows and columns. Let me try spark dot create data frame. Now airports is a pandas. I think it will work. Good. Now you're converting here pandas to data frame. Now I'm not using schema information, right? But the create data from schema is mandatory, right? But why it's not giving that any error message? Because here pandas contains schema information plus data, but schema information plus data. Good. See. Let me use df equal now df dot two pandas. Let me see the type of df. So, let me use df underscore p equal to type df underscore p. How is it called? Pandas data frame. So this is also interview question. I mean, how you will convert your data frame into pandas? Then two pandas. How will you convert your pandas to data frame? Right? Create data frame. Create a data frame. So this is the interview question. How will you convert your pandas to data frame? Means use spark dot create data frame. Right? Instead of the data object, you can take the your pandas data frame. But how will you convert your data frame to pandas? Means you will use the two pandas. Two pandas. Clear, right?
Yes, sir.
I will share this CSV, I mean this pandas notebook. Just have
Yes.
a look at it in case if you have any doubts. Just import this one. In case if you have any other doubts, please reach out to me. Maybe this is today your last class. In case if you have any clarifications, right, you can connect with me one to one, or maybe you can take help from Suresh or Jagadish or Kiran. But they will also help out. But Chandru and Bala, please try only pending from you only. The good news from pending from you only. without searching the jobs, nobody will give that job. Okay, you have to search the job, then only you will get the job, right? I mean, take help. I mean, in case if you have any queries, just you can reach out to me. Otherwise, you can reach out to Jagadish or Suresh or Kiran. Also, they will help out. Just drop a message. They will also help out in case if you have any queries. Please connect with Kiran at least weekly twice or weekly once. If you have any in your free time, Kiran free time, just connect with him. He will help out. He is helping to Divya and Uday also, right? He will help out to you also.
Okay, sir.
Even you can take help from Naveen also, right?
Always welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro.
Suman
Thanks
bro,
everyone.
if I have any while working, if I have any something difficulty, I'll reach you.
Sure, no problem. You can reach out anytime. No problem. Okay. But thank you so much for joining the sessions. Okay, maybe it was too much delay. Apology from my end. Okay, but thank you so much. But get the job. Okay, please get the job. Do that hard work. In case if you have any doubts in your career, right, or maybe during your development, if you face any difficulties, please reach out to me. Definitely, I will help out, or you can drop a message in the group. Either myself, either my side, or Jagadish, or Suresh, or Kiran also will help out. Okay.
Sure.
Thanks everyone. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir. Bye, bye.